What is going on, guys? It is Zigzag here and welcome back to another video. Today I'm bringing you guys the next 25 tips in my 50 tip series, so let's get straight into it then. Also, if you want to see part 1, that is in the description. I recorded that about a week ago. So here we're on the first location, and we have two good clues for this location. The first one is the green number plate. It's quite a common clue to know, but the Vermont plates are almost completely green, so it's a great way to tell you're in Vermont. Most other number plates in North America do not have so much green. This one is the most pure green. And secondly, a tip for the United States is that they often have these poles with the teeth in them, and yeah, pretty distinctive, I would say. Okay, next up we are in Malta, and here we have 3 clues that would help you determine that you're in Malta. One is just the landscape and these brick walls. So, you know, brick walls, common in some countries, they like to do them in Ireland and whatnot, but here we have very like yellowish brick walls, fits the landscape, and just super common in Malta. Second up, we're driving on the left-hand side of the road. English-speaking country, more or less, and colony of England to some extent, so that's why they do that. And then also we do have a interesting number plate here, which is a bit thinner than most European number plates and a bit taller and just has a small blue strip, but you can also have the normal ones too, so good to keep in mind. The next location is in Sakhalin, which is an island just above Japan in Russia, and you can see that the driver is on the right hand side here inside this car. And so normally, of course, on right hand side countries, you would be driving on the left. You would have your driver on the left. But there's a strong illegal car market coming up from Japan in Sakhalin, so you'll often be able to peep through the window and tell that you might be in the Asian part of Russia. And of course, these will normally be Japanese car makes. So for example, you know, Mazdas, or what else have we got here, like a Suzuki or a Toyota or something like that. So good to keep in mind for sure. Here we are in Sakhalin again, but this location applies for Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and also to some extent Lithuania, where they have this kind of alien-shaped head. It's not perfectly round. You can see it is actually an alien shape. I guess like it's an oval. You could say it's an oval, but I kind of think it looks like an alien's type of head. So that is a good tip for working out that you're in one of these former Soviet republics, but not all of them, just the 4 I mentioned. Here we are in Canada with an interesting bit of coverage. We're up here in, however you pronounce this national park that I've just highlighted here, and you have quite some significant trekker coverage right here, and it's super far north, and so you could potentially get that, and that is all the way up here, much further north than any other Canadian coverage, I think it's fair to say. And here we also have some very far north Canadian coverage, and this is a whole town, Yellowknife, which I think is the capital of Yukon, or Northwestern Territory, sorry, which is covered up here. And so you can get the coverage, runs all the way up north of Alberta into Yellowknife. And of course Whitehorse is the capital of Yukon, which is also covered. Here we are in New South Wales, Australia, which I'll show you on the map in a second where exactly we are. We're near Mount Kosciuszko, and Mount Kosciuszko is the tallest peak in Australia, and you can see that the road lines here are all yellow, which is not typical of Australia at all. In fact, most of Australia simply uses white road lines. However, when I exit out here, you can see that because we're in an alpine region that often would get snow, they've opted for some yellow here. So around Mount Kosciuszko National Park, you can see some yellow roads coverage, and that's pretty much it for the whole of Australia. But you can also find it in Chile. So here we are, right down super south. We are in the Chilean Antarctic region. And you can see they're using all yellow, and they actually use all yellow for a couple of 100 kilometers down here, I think. But yeah, certainly when you get this coverage down here, running along here, it's a lot of it uses all yellow lines. So definitely good to keep in mind. And there is quite a bit of coverage down here in Argentina and Chile, but yeah, the all yellow lines down here. Alright, next up, we are in Uruguay. And one of the best ways to tell Uruguay and Argentina apart is the fact that Uruguay never uses double yellow lines. It always uses double yellow lines that have a white dash in the middle. So both countries share this white line with the yellow next to it, but then Uruguay will transition into double yellow with a white in the middle. Also, Uruguay, of course, often uses these white poles, which is another great way to tell it apart from Argentina. because Argentina uses those less commonly. And here we are over in Argentina, Buenos Aires province, so it's looking pretty similar to Uruguay, you could say, but here we are using these double yellow lines, which would have a dash in the middle if we were indeed in Uruguay. And of course, you want to tell those two countries apart because they both use the black Google car and have fairly similar landscapes. I think it's fair to say. Alright, so here we are in Canada, and you'll notice that I told you guys that the poles often have little holes in them in the US. Well, you can also have it in Canada, so it's not a foolproof hint, it's just a good suggestion. But what I wanted to bring you this location for was that it says arrêt, which means stop, obviously, in French. And, well, I guess it's good to know because in France they just say stop. It's just part of the French, like French-speaking nationalism that they have in Quebec, that they use French stop signs instead of English ones. But yes, an interesting detail, and you're pretty much always going to be in Quebec when you see this sign, so good to know. Okay, next one, we are still in Canada here, and this time we're in Ontario on the Trans-Canada Highway, and I just wanted to bring this up because we got some winter coverage here, and I think that basically 90% of the time that I see winter coverage with snow in it in Canada, or maybe not even with snow, maybe just some normal winter coverage, I am somewhere in Ontario, and so you can see Ontario has a not too much coverage out west here, on the way to Thunder Bay, but you will get a lot of winter coverage in here, actually, so it's good to know. It's definitely won me a lot of games and stuff, so good to know that they use a lot of winter coverage there. Here we are in Slovakia, and I wanted to bring up this location because Czechia and Slovakia are remarkably difficult to tell apart from one another. And one of the best ways to do this, it's fairly commonly known, but you need to know it anyway, is that you can often have Gen 3 in Slovakia, and in fact not often, but pretty much always. So it's always going to have an antenna, and it's pretty much always going to be some form of Gen 3 typical coverage, and you can see it just looks quite a bit less vibrant than Gen 4. We'll switch to Gen 4 now. Here we are in Czechia, and yes, we've got the blue car, we've got nice Gen 4 crystal clear coverage here, and you do not get that in Slovakia. Okay, here we are in Singapore, and I've got baited recently a few times because Singapore has both Generation 2 and Generation 3 with a black car, and I don't think I realized that when I had this location, so I saved it. I don't think it's common to see it. Most locations you won't be able to see it. In fact, we've just switched to a different Gen 3 here, but yeah, the black car is uncommon, but you can see it, and don't get fooled by it because you might be tempted to guess Korea or something in that nature. Okay, so here we are in Indonesia, and Indonesia has a surprising amount of cigarette ads around the place. They're a country that loves smoking, but you can tell that they're Indonesian ones often because they have really black and red color schemes with this black warning bar at the top, and obviously rupees 10,000 there as well. But yeah, the black and red and kind of black and red and silver ads are all over Indonesia, and often, like, you will almost see one in every single town, I feel like. So a pretty good way. I mean, obviously you could probably find these ads elsewhere, but super common in Indonesia without a doubt. Alright, next up we are in Liangchang County, I believe that's how it's pronounced, in Taiwan, and now this county is kind of like a small archipelago off the coast of China. So you can see that you can get quite a bit of official Gen 3 coverage with the black car and long antenna here. But we are, Lianqiang, sorry. We are a fair way from Taiwan here. So we're up here, and down here is Taiwan. So you can actually be right up here next to Fuzhou, or however you pronounce that. And I'll show you the extent of the coverage here. Yep, so you can get quite significant Google coverage there. Alright, so here we are in Réunion Island. You can see we've got the typical Réunion car with the tape at the back. But here we are, we've got French bollards on the side of the road. It's a part of France, and so it only makes sense. And here we are in Senegal. And Senegal uses French bollards as well occasionally. So, yep, there's the sky rifts and everything. But, yeah, French bollards. They're kind of thinner in this example, I've noticed. But yeah, definitely French bollards. So you can see another former colony of France. And makes it easier to guess that you're in Senegal, as opposed to other African countries. Okay, guys, I'm going to hit you with a triple now. I have 3 examples of Venezuelan spillover coverage. So this one's on a bridge, and we are on the border with Colombia, and you can see over here we are looking into Colombia here, but we are actually standing in Venezuela, as you can see probably on the little man here. So yes, we are on Venezuelan soil here, and that does mean that you could ruin your country streak if you don't know this location. So I have 3 examples, but this is one of them. Okay, so the next one is, once again, we are here standing in Venezuela looking into Colombia, and I think this is probably just the one location. So if we hop this direction, oh no, we're still in Venezuela, but yeah, it's just the two hops over, and this one's much less distinctive, so I'm not sure if you could actually remember this. I'd probably would just guess Colombia for it, but yeah, hopefully you don't lose your streak on this one. I'm not even sure if it would be included in A Diverse World or whatever, but I know some of them are. And once again, here we are standing in Venezuela looking into Colombia, and yeah, once again, there's like a few steps here where we are always in Venezuela, and then we cross over into Colombia. So again, a tiny bit of spillover coverage, but it's significant, and this one again is pretty distinctive. You've got kind of like these interesting checkered bricks, and we're on a river again, so good to know. Probably won't come up too much in your games. In fact, I think it's only ever happened to me once, but you got to keep it in mind if you want to be an A++ GeoGuessr player, I guess. Alright, so next up we do have an interesting bit of coverage meta, and that is that we are on Gen 4 right here, and as we step forward once here, we are entering Gen 3. So the Stuart Highway runs Gen 4 all the way from Adelaide up here, up to Alice Springs, which is a town in the middle of Australia that has good coverage here. And then as soon as you go north of Alice Springs, you enter Gen 3, and actually north of Alice Springs in the Northern Territory, there is no Gen 4, nor is there any Gen 2, so it is all Gen 3 and Gen 1 up here. So that does really help you out. Just be careful that you are north of Alice Springs though, but you should be able to tell because it gets pretty green up here. Alright, next up we are in Singapore, and this is quite a common hint, but it really helps to be able to pick it out when you see it, and that is that you can see we are in Malaysia, and Malaysian plates are divided into 2 white sections. So they're all black plates, and they have one section of white writing and another section of white writing with a black gap in the middle, resulting in it looking a bit like this when it's blurred out, kind of like the Argentinian black plates, where it looks white but with a black dot in the middle. So that is fairly easy to get. And then if we hop on over to Indonesia here, you can see that it's actually in 3 sections. It's actually 3 sections of white writing, so you have 2 essentially black bars in the middle. And you can also see that you can actually get yellow number plates, kind of a poor example here because there's writing covering it. And so, for the final clue of the day, I do have some red Indonesian number plates, and I actually found these all over the country when I was looking, so don't get them confused with Bhutan, which also has red number plates sometimes. But these ones have the 3 sections again, I don't know if you can see, of the white and white and white, leaving 2 red spots. Yes, I think these might have something to do with government vehicles. That's what I've kind of worked out about it. And yeah, you can see also some yellow number plates here. So I think maybe yellow often refers to bigger vehicles, and I think the red refers to government vehicles. And I particularly noticed that I got more of these out on like the West Timor, or even on some of these islands over here. I have plenty more to show to you guys, and I would love it if you could subscribe and like, because I got good videos coming up, and you don't want to miss them. So yeah guys, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.